Welcome back, everybody, to a new episode of the Wisemen Say podcast. Ty Fisher alongside Jerald Lucas, Derik Abbott. My friends, how art thou on this one wonderful Wednesday? I bit my tongue.
Doing great.
Doing good. Put the arc away for the spring season, hopefully. Now that we've gotten done with fingers crossed for a month straight of rain every single freaking day.
Now, you know damn well.
We're in Ohio.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. We all are in unison. Yep, Ohio.
It always happens when either Charlotte or Atlanta comes to town.
When's
Like,
Atlanta?
Jesus.
When's Atlanta next?
Towards the end of the year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we'll probably get like some random rain in the fall. You know.
We'll get some
100%. 100%. Man, it was a good evening. The Arsenal didn't have enough today for the Champions League.
You hate to see it. You hate to see that.
Right.
I love it.
Want to always thank you guys for tuning in to the Wisemen Say podcast. This show wouldn't be happening without you guys. 15 subscribers away from 100. So if you are currently watching on YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell for post notifications. Be sure to follow us. We'll drop our socials at the end, or if you look right below Derik, that is where you can find us on your favorite platforms and whatnot. Short show today. Crew extending their impressive start with the win over Charlotte FC. We have Club World Cup talk because I wrote a 720 word opinion piece on that for Massive Report. We are also going to be talking about Daniel Gazdag getting a contract extension today and previewing the Philadelphia Union matchup, which is currently they're currently playing right now, I think, in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. So hopefully a little bit of fatigue on Saturday. We'll preview that. But fellas, why don't we just jump right into it with the 4-2 win over Charlotte FC and the angriness, whatever you want to call it, of Wilfried Zaha, because that guy was not happy.
He was throwing temper tantrums like a 3-year-old.
I've said it multiple times. I liked him when he was at Manchester United. As soon as he went to Crystal Palace and started balling out, he got like this big ego, and he was starting to become so much of a tool. I couldn't stand him.
We were kind of talking to our friend last week, and I think one of us brought up like how would he react, after he kind of had his blow up on like Snapchat or Instagram or something like that. And I think he kind of downplayed it a little bit. But clearly what we saw was that he still has very heightened emotions about everything that's going on with him and his team right now.
See, I don't know, I thought he played a decent game against us, but there was those temper tantrums that he was having. I mean, he played a decent game, right? Came out, he was in the mix for that PK, right? I mean, he got on the score sheet. He was trying to create chances, right? Doing what a number 9 should do, right? But it just seemed like everybody else around him wasn't picking up the slack. And, and you could tell like their midfield is in shambles because they don't I don't know what it is about is this what Dean Smith's second year with the team? Yeah, it's Dean Smith's second year. I don't know what the drop off is. Maybe it was with certain pieces of of their midfield either leaving or bringing in others and not getting chemistry right. I mean, they're doing something because they were in the top 4. You know, they were in first place coming into the game against Columbus. They were okay, so they were second coming into the game against Columbus, and you know, so something offensively is working a little bit, but it's rough because you know, star players are getting bashed and everything, right? On socials, and they go out to, you know, they're out with their family. They're either getting harassed by fans or, you know, shit's being talked to them and all that. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff that players have to sort of hold in. And, you know, I'm happy that Zaha did go off on the fans, you know, but now you have to turn that page. And now you have to put up or shut up now.
You know what it was giving me? It was giving me flashbacks to not obviously 1-for-1, but it was giving me flashbacks to Kai Kamara and his whole like unceremonious exit from the crew, where he was getting into it with like fans online. He was starting to kind of throw temper tantrums out on the field, particularly penalty kick scenarios. And eventually, I think I don't know, it's a hot topic, of course, but I think it was the right move to jettison him from the team when we did. And part of it now, like in hindsight, with Zaha, makes me wonder, like, how long is he for that team if, you know, he continues to do this kind of outburst? Because inevitably, even if the team's not picking up the slack around him, if he's kind of throwing temper tantrums and stuff, it's going to be perceived as being towards the actual team in and of itself at some point or another. So it's something that they definitely want to try to get wrangled in pretty quickly, because, you know, that could be almost a contender for some inner team or inner league, you know, trade, or this cash, you know, buying of a player type scenario, inner league, that we've already seen so far this season by the time the summer comes around.
On the flip side of things, the Columbus Crew balled out. Literally. Like 4-2 win. That is the 11th time under Wilfried Nancy that the Crew have had through 11 games. I wrote a whole stat about it too. I just don't know.
Oh, I saw your stat. I think it was like we've scored 4 or more in like 10 games. Something about 10 games, I thought.
It was like through 11 games. The Crew scored 18 or more goals, tying this season, making it tied for the 4th highest in club history.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Not the stat I saw.
Yeah. But Dylan Chambeau getting his first MLS goal. And
that was awesome.
and see, that's what happens when you follow the play, right? You start the play, you follow it, no matter what.
That is my favorite. That's my favorite quality about anybody who's going to play in the front of any soccer team at all, is follow through and clean up any kind of like rebound. I don't know if you use basketball terms, rebound scenario. If the keeper stops it by punting it out or with his leg or something that goes back into play, is having somebody there who's like spatially aware to get in there and clean it up for goals. Because I don't know what statistics would say, but I would imagine the probability of scoring a goal if you've got somebody coming in like that has got to be like 90% or something. I mean, you see it happen a lot when somebody's there ready for it. Rarely does the keeper able to, you know, get one and then immediately get up and get the other.
You want to know who wasn't spatially aware? Christian Kalina, after taking a rocket to the head.
Jesus,
that poor. Oh my God.
I
honestly felt bad for him. Like, I thought for sure he was going to get pulled after that
should
goal.
have.
He 100%.
He should have, because I mean, if you take a look, I know they said that he didn't show signs of concussion right then and there, but you could tell later on in the game his steps were off.
Yeah,
he was off. Like, and that's something honestly that I blame the medical staff and Dean Smith.
Yeah,
because we saw it against St. Louis.
That's exactly what I was about to bring up.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Yeah.
And he didn't show any signs. And even after they let him go 5 minutes. And it's like, nah. We saw some, not pulling. But I mean, why not the keeper, right? And it's just like, we love to see players, fight through injuries, especially if you're a former athlete. You know what it's like to be in those spots, and you want to keep going. And you're going up against, a top team in your conference, and it's just like, but at what cost?
Yeah.
At what risk to your health do you really want to keep going? Because that rocket from Rossi, I swear it looked like one of those cartoons where he pulled his leg back and his shooting leg was the only thing spinning. And then, rocket that, and it just was like, oh. And as soon as he got hit with the ball, he didn't move. Like, I would have took him out.
I would also like to say there's he makes wonderful saves. He makes outrageous saves. He was I keep biting my tongue. He was not himself on Jason's goal.
No, because
he could have easily saved that.
You could tell because as soon as like Jason, went up for the header, he started to go that way, but he stopped. Right. And it's sort of like he froze, like, hold on, what am I doing? So I mean, like, come on now. Like that's detrimental to, to the player's health, honestly. And that Dean Smith should have pulled him. So what if he would have got pulled and Columbus went on, 6-0, right? So what? The player's health is more important than a record. I don't care. People could get mad, about me saying that, but a player's health is more important than a win-loss record,
especially when you're talking about head injuries. I mean, It's not like he thought he broke his hand or something and he's still out there trying to make saves and eventually, stops to get it looked at some point or something like that. I mean, a head injury is like, we've been through all of this with, football, professional wrestling, like these types of things where people get, dropped on their heads and there's constant head contact. And it's just never long-term good for anybody to, try to play through those types of things.
Just look at AB. The receiver from the Steelers. All those concussions that he received, playing, football, and he's out here, decides he wants to have a meltdown during the game and walk off, take his uniform off and throw it at the crowd and flip him off.
Oh, when he was with the Jets.
Yeah. Or, turn around buying an Arena Football League team and not paying anybody and fold the team.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
And how some of the beef that, he started with other players and people, but he's not right in the head. And at what point is player health more, when I really hope that Kalina doesn't suffer any, secondary,
long-term
things, because that was a missile.
It doesn't help that it was also raining. The ball was slick. So there's a little bit more pace behind that. That I honestly think he played through a concussion in that game.
Have they said anything? Have they come out about any reports?
I haven't seen anything. But I think we'll see at the weekend. honestly. We'll see sometime this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But Diego Rossi gets back on the board finally. Last goal was what, St. Louis?
Yeah.
That was what, 2-3 games ago, maybe 4 now.
2 or 3.
2.
Yes, it was 2 because we played Miami on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And then we
Or
played
we played Miami on a Saturday, and then the following week was Sunday night soccer, where we played St. Louis.
No, flip those.
Reverse that.
We played Sunday night.
No, reverse.
Because I remember I was in Florida, and then the following weekend I went up to Cleveland for that game.
Yeah. So we played St. Louis first, then Miami, then it was back home against
San Jose.
San Jose,
yes, because I talked to
Berhalter.
No. What's her name?
Arena?
No.
Oh, no, you talked to a media person.
Yeah, Kendra.
Okay, yeah.
That's
Kendra. Right. And then San Jose. So San Jose, Miami. So 3 games ago. So this week be 4 games ago. Yep. Jason Russell-Rowe fills in for Daniel Gazdag, who apparently hurt himself in the San Jose game.
Oh, that's what they said? It was during that game?
Yeah.
I thought it was during warm-ups or something.
So he hurt himself in the San Jose game, played through it. Whatever it was, came back up in warm-ups, but we were told it was not significant. So they pulled him through Jason Russell-Rowe into his spot. And look what happens. Because I remember that because I looked at Jerald and I was like, Jason.
We all did.
It's like what happened to Daniel?
You're like, ruh-roh. What's going on here?
So this is what Nazi said. After the San Jose game, he did take a knock, but after the San Jose game, they monitored him during the week. And they was like, okay, well, we'll see if he could give it a go on Saturday. And then in warm-ups, he tweaked his leg injury. Not enough. It wasn't a significant injury, but he tweaked it. So they pulled him after they got done with warm-ups. Jason said he didn't know until like 6 minutes before they walked out.
Jason's been going. I got to give him a lot of credit because he's kind of been going through it where he got pulled earlier in the last game where we figured it's more of a tactical thing. But then game was not supposed to be starting, and then finds out he's starting minutes before he's supposed to go out there. Like, he's very much been kind of just all over the place. And I mean, just mentally from an athlete standpoint, I mean, I know everybody, this is very much a team sport and everything, but I got to give him a lot of credit to be able to adjust very quickly to a wide variance of circumstances that occurs between like 2 games in terms of him and playing time and things like that.
So him being pulled in against San Jose, that was a tactical change because, Jason is more methodical and tactical when it comes to, the chances and, attacking. So where AZ is like a beautiful chaos. Like he's playing Call of Duty free for all, just running around, right?
Time's up. Let's do this.
But that's what's so good about his game is you tell AZ like this is how the formation needs to be, and then when you're not on the ball, this is where you need to be. But let the man run.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw, what happens when you let the man run.
Yeah.
And that was a beautiful pass. I believe who was that from? Was that from?
What?
That was from that pass from Mo.
So Mo switched field to Max.
Or that was on
Max
Jason's,
and-
but AZ's.
how we go from Jason to AZ?
Well, we were talking about Jason, and I also talked about AZ being beautiful chaos.
Gotcha. Oh, I thought you were saying Jason was beautiful chaos.
Nah,
Yeah.
Jason is
Yeah.
is methodical and tactical.
Okay. Yeah. So the pass was from Mo.
Yeah, and but talking about Jason being the dummy right there. If like the pass was coming through him, and all he did, he stood there to the last minute and moved, and the defender had to go towards Jason, and AZ with the slick, I'm gonna go try, get a 7-10 split, bottom corner, and there was no stopping that.
Yeah.
We're just
going to ignore Dylan's heat map. Looked like an airstrike occurred after the game. I didn't even see a heat map, honestly.
So
Dylan's been playing really, really good.
Dylan's been playing very good.
Like,
he looks like he's back over there in France playing.
I'm happy I think he's getting more comfortable in this system, in this league, which brings the question. Nazi has made the system so easy that the team is creating space for one another and absolutely capitalizing on their attacking chances. Right? In retrospect, is this a system that other teams should be adopting?
It's hard for them to adopt it because it seems so simplistic, but it's so complex at the same time.
Yeah, I think you need the right coach in the first place who can understand all of the mechanisms that go into it. I think you need that before you can even have the right players. So even if you have a lot of players that might be able to pick it up, if you don't have a coach who can deploy it and train them properly on it, I think you might get some semblances of it throughout the league. I think Vancouver right now seems to have like a very, I wouldn't say like similar necessarily, like the way they play feels very much the same. It's not the exact same style by any means, but it seems like they have like been adoptive to it to an extent, or at least the general idea behind it.
I want to be a fan for that match because oh my god, that's gonna be.
When do we play him this year?
Coming up soon.
Sometime next month.
Is it at home?
Yeah.
Yes.
Vancouver has to come down
it
here.
Is June. It is June because we have 3 home games in the month of June.
And they're one of them. Oh man.
Yeah, they're one of them.
That could be a 1-versus-1. I mean, we'll see how they market it, but that could be a very much like an MLS Cup preview type scenario.
I'm telling you.
That would be fire.
Can you imagine a Vancouver Whitecaps and a Columbus Crew in the MLS Cup final? My word.
The MLS front office or whatever would hate that. Just absolutely hate it.
Oh my god.
We wouldn't host it.
You never know. We could.
I hope we would.
We would host. Hey, we would host it if we won the Shield over Vancouver.
Hey,
anything. That's what it'll take. At this rate, that is what it will take.
Look, the Supporter Shield is starting to shape up right now.
Right, man.
All I'm saying is if we go the month of May, the month of June without a tie or a
tie would be okay.
Yeah,
we could get like 1 or 2 maybe.
Okay, with minimal ties and no losses, Vancouver slips up. Boy, that's our first Shield in 17 years.
Oh yeah.
Man. But as far as systems go, you see a lot of some of the top teams adopting the 3-back now. They're adopting that 3-back because they're seeing what Columbus has done with the 3-back. And case in point, Porter.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Porter finally changed up his system after so many years.
Mm-hmm.
And he's now on a 4-game win streak.
4.
You know, like you got Campana and you got Carlos Heel going on the same page now. Like, I mean, like Jesus. But then also the reason why I say the system's also simplistic and complex at the same time. The Columbus Crew lead the damn league in passes.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
But you would think Porter would actually be able to adopt to it better than anyone the way he likes to do his passing. So he might be the one that we're really thinking about that could, if he allows himself to adopt it fully, could be, right there in terms of getting his players to that level of system.
Because I will tell you right now, let's see here. Passing attempts. The Columbus Crew have passed 6,500 pass attempts and have completed 5,776 of those passes.
Wow.
For a percentage of, where did it just go? 88.3%.
Jeez. That's some accuracy right there. It also helps if someone like Nagby in the middle of the field who is like constantly only misses maybe a few a game at most, sometimes none, you have somebody in there who can just direct all the time and be kind of that field general.
Fun fact, it took 17 passes for the Columbus Crew to score their 4th goal.
Love it. I absolutely love
17.
That's my favorite.
Crazy work.
That is my favorite.
Whoever did the video for that sequence,
oh yeah,
put the music to it. That I think the crew posted because Chris Dorn, retweeted it. But whoever put the music to it, if you guys haven't seen it, go watch it. The music is just like is on point, and it keeps a tally of all the passes on that whole sequence.
Give that person a raise. Give that, marketing, whatever social media person, whoever it is, a raise for sure. They've been killing it on those videos.
We talked about him earlier. Daniel Gazdag missed this match due to injury, but he signs a contract extension today that runs until 2027 with a club option of 2028. Really quick before we get into the much elongated topic of this show, how do we like this move? I, for one, think it's great.
Derek, I'll let you go.
I am fine with it. I mean, I haven't really. I'm trying to think of. I can't think of too many contracts we've done recently that I felt like really overplayed our hand with. And in some cases, and I'm totally blanking on his name, who came from Minnesota and didn't really do much, was always injured. Who was that a few years ago? But then in the playoffs, when we won the championship, had a few games where he did like some really good passes and stuff that like are assists that led to goals. I cannot.
Is that Jimmy Madranda or Kevin Molino?
Molino.
Yeah,
Kevin Molino. Yeah.
Because I remember, like, I was really down on Molino. A lot of people were.
I didn't, and everybody, not even a lot. Everybody was.
He's a crew goat.
Yeah, and right, he showed up when he needed to. So at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't care if he didn't do anything for 2 years or whatever it was before that playoff run came. It worked out. But I think also, like, one, Gazdag has like so much already on his resume for being a good player with Philadelphia that it's certainly warranted that he gets a contract extension. Frankly, I think most people assumed that was already kind of probably the deal when he got traded to an extent. Like, I know we still had club control for another year, I think, or maybe a year plus, but like, I just kind of assumed that was going to be part of it in the first place. But now with the way that the league is, where you can still trade or trade for GAM and TAM and all that throughout the league, like, I guess, windows to do that. I think it's like, if something, I don't know if it just weren't where to work out or something like that. Like you could probably still get value in something like that for him and get something in return. So at the end of the day, I mean, feels like, we don't know how much it's going to cost, but like low risk, high reward, one way or the other. And I think for everybody who has been saying we need like another striker and all this is a guy who's going to come in and help in one way or another. I mean, if he comes in and scores no goals, but everyone's constantly on him because he's playing a dummy role where they think he's going to score and it opens up for somebody else to score, that's a net positive in my mind.
I like it, but I think I think it is. They did it too early. He's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He's a great player, great playmaker. Helps out the team a lot. But I need him to get a little more comfortable in this system.
I get that for sure.
I need to get a little more production out of him.
He's played 3 games.
I'm saying,
I think that's his point.
Get a little more.
The comfortability I can understand.
The production's going to come with the time, and that's what I'm aiming at. Right? Get more comfortable. Get playing more. The production's going to come with his play because you and me both know, Ty, we've seen it firsthand sitting in the cold-ass press box in Philadelphia.
Middle of nowhere.
Horrible. Middle of Chester, PA. You got the hood over here, then you have the lovely Delaware River and the Barry Commodore Bridge to our right-hand side.
And Thomas,
what more could you ask for?
Yeah, Thomas the tugboat.
Yeah. What more could you ask for?
But, I need him to get...
You don't know if you're going to get shot or if you're just going to see, like, the Norwegian cruise line just go down the Delaware River.
Or military, ships like we saw.
What's that Hannah Montana song? You get the best of both worlds.
That's going to be stuck in my head now.
I'm sorry. I'm losing the plot here. My bad. God. I'm losing the plot. My bad. Sorry.
But he just needs to get a little more comfortable in Nancy's system. And then I think the extension should have been signed in the summer. Just to get through everything. That's when I think the extension should have happened. But I do see why the front office locks it up now. Because then now you know what you can play with when it comes to that summer window. So I get why they did it now too. But it was that's what he was honestly looking for when he got traded. Was the extension, because that's what he was trying to get with Philly. And they stopped the contract talks. And so then when Columbus is saying, hey, we're interested in him, and he jumped on it like, yeah, I want to go to them. That was part of, I think that's what Issa, talked to his agent, like, look, we'll trade for him, but we'll also get him the extension that he wants.
And it may have just taken a few weeks for them to iron out what that was going to look like versus having something in place right away, just due to the sheer proximity of when he came to the team and now when it's being announced. Like usually you kind of assume they go hand in hand, but also in this new way of being able to get players, we haven't really seen it yet, at least for our team, of getting somebody after the season's already started, but giving them an extension, somebody within the league. I feel like that might just be the byproduct of something a little newer we're not used to also.
I like it personally, right? Because it's more so a testament to show that we technically don't need all these flashy guys and whatnot when MLS is producing great talent within itself. right? Gazdag came to MLS in 2021, signed with the Philadelphia Union. He was the Union's leading goal scorer, passing Sebastian Letou. I mean, MLS, he's proven his worth in MLS. So I think going out and getting him kind of was a testament to those that were saying, "Oh, Issa has no idea what he's doing, etc., etc." Da 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 da. Like, okay, but we just got a club's leading goal scorer, fleeced them for $4.5 million, right? Let's ease them in a little bit. St. Louis, then Stardom, Miami, every other game that he's played so far. But as Jerald alluded to, his production is going to take time, which is fine. But I mean, once that production comes, I mean, I suspect he's going to get at least 10, 13 goals this year. And as Connor said, he's starting to click with Rossi already. Those two are starting to become the next. This is. I better watch my words when I say this.
I know where you're going.
I just feel like there's a connection that replicates Cucho and Rossi. Right now, I'm going to say what I've always said: you can't put Cucho qualities inside of Gazdag, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like you can't put Rossi qualities or you can't put Zelarayan qualities inside of Diego Rossi. They each have their own style. Once Daniel gets more and more, comfortable with his role, yeah, why not? Let's get the magic back and win MLS Cup in 2025. That way we might actually have a shot at the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
That's a segue like a true pro right there.
That's what I'm saying. So now we get to the most elongated topic that I think is going to take up the rest of the show. So Tom Bogert, Give Me Sports, made a mention of Club America and LAFC playing a one-off playoff match for the final spot of the FIFA Club World Cup. Now, how did this come about? So, Club Leon, its ownership group, also owns our lovely Tuzos, aka Pachuca. So, when FIFA found out, obviously the ownership group chose Pachuca.
Somehow FIFA didn't know this too, right? Or they like pretended they did.
It's not like they didn't know, but it's like they caught it. Like, oh, hey, you have two teams in. You can only choose one to prevent any like corruption or anything like that. So which one do you choose? Obviously, they're going to choose Pachuca because Club Leon won the CONCACAF. Or no, did they win it? I can't remember.
Yeah, they beat LAFC.
That's right. Yeah, they beat LAFC. That's right. They chose Pachuca because they're obviously the most recent winners out of the two underneath that ownership group. So yeah, now LAFC is playing Club America for the final spot in Club World Cup. Me personally, I think the Columbus Crew should be in this tournament. Now, whether or not they agreed if they were offered the spot is on the club. I wrote a whole piece about it on Massive Report Live now. Go check it out, massivereport.com, about it, saying that the Club World Cup should be about merit and not hype, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So now the whole thing is, okay, LAFC gets it because they were the runner-up to Club Leon when they won it, and America was the number one team in the CONCACAF rankings the year that they won the year Club Leon won the tournament. I, for one, say it should be given to Columbus because they have been the most consistent team since 2023. They have the number one spot in the CONCACAF rankings for numerous weeks, above LAFC, above Miami, above America, above Leon. And I feel like that it's all just because of, you know, the high market, it's literally, this is the definition of what people say is a money grab.
Yeah.
Right. Number one, Miami doesn't even deserve to be in there. They just got it because, oh, they won the league because they won the supporter shield. If that were the case, then LAFC should have been in it because they won the supporter shield twice since the last
most
FIFA Club World Cup.
recent MLS team to make it to the finals of the whatever the Champions Cup, whatever the heck we're calling it again, I totally forget about, was the Crew. We just lost to Pachuca because everybody got
E. coli.
Montezuma's revenge.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that warrant LAFC, who hadn't been to the lost in the championship prior to that? Like, they have not finished in any kind of championship caliber thing better than us, other than maybe the MLS playoffs. But if you're counting that, then there's a litany of teams that should be in it above. Like it, and we are a team that has beaten them in any championship games. What, twice now?
Yeah.
So, did they ever have an explanation? I guess I should ask first.
It's not even. Let's also go on record and say that we also have absolutely demolished them at home in 20. Was it last year? Last year, 5-1. My word. So
okay, I do have a question about this though. This is just. So, is any of the Club World Cup games, since they're being played here, Mexico, and Canada, I think, right?
No, I think it's just here. That's World Cup. The Club World Cup is just being played in the States.
Are any of them in LA, specifically that stadium? Or I'm sure it's in LA, right? There has to be.
The playoff match or any Club World Cup
games in the Club World Cup? Are they being played at any of the LA stadiums?
They're being played. I think SoFi. There's a couple games in SoFi.
There you go. There's your answer right there. They wanted to have like a home team so that they would get more fans to show up and show off MLS or whatever. Or maybe,
if that's the case, then they would have Philly in there.
And that was another thing also, was that when I believe it was, I can't remember when it was, but there was also Philadelphia people saying that Philly should be given a spot because they were the highest ranked MLS team throughout a certain period of time. Not even number one. They were just a higher ranked MLS team at the time. Now, if we go back to,
and they won the Shield in 22.
Yeah. So if they're going off of, you know, wins, if we're going off of, you know, winning the league, right? Philadelphia should be in over Miami. And Connor's right. The only reason why Miami got that spot was because A, they won the league, and B, because it's Messi. Right.
Yep. And everyone else on that team too. They think it'll draw more eyeballs.
Yeah. Which, in my sense, where'd it go? I wrote, quote, where'd it go? Let's be clear. The Club World Cup should reward actual achievement, not brand hype. Although LAFC was strong in the regular season, winning the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup and being finalists a few years back in the CCC, they fell short when it mattered the most. Inter Miami, on the other hand, while boasted by the Lionel Messi effect, hasn't even qualified for the playoffs consistently and was given their spot because they won the 2024 MLS Supporter Shield. They haven't even lifted a major continental trophy.
And the Shield is nothing. You know, I know people hold the Shield in the highest regard. The Shield is not even the highest thing you can win in the league.
No. And hell, Cincinnati won the Shield in 23.
If anything, we should all of these teams that we either hate or have, you know, general kind of beef with over just rivalries, we should all be banding together in collective anger.
Yeah. And
put together a mini tournament.
A round robin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of one game to rule them all, be like, okay, here's 4 teams. that qualified and create a bracket or a round robin, whatever, however you want to do it, it wouldn't take that much time. And half of our teams are not in, some of these like the US Open Cup and stuff. And we could fit in time to make that work.
Yeah. And this doesn't count as a major trophy. It's not a continental trophy. A continental trophy would be CCC.
Leagues Cup only matters if we win it. Otherwise, means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, Leagues Cup only matters if MLS teams win it. That's
yeah,
it's
like
that, and that's the thing. I was talking with my peers. Like, would we consider Leagues Cup a continental trophy? Not really.
Well,
not really. I mean, for me, I wouldn't consider it a continental trophy because you're only taking teams from Canada, United States, and Mexico that play. You're essentially taking 2 leagues, where as opposed to CONCACAF Champions Cup, you're taking Jamaica, you're taking Honduras, you're taking Guatemala, United States, Mexico, Canada. You're taking all of North America and Central America and putting them as one.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, it sort of is. I'm not saying that it is, but it sort of is a continental trophy because when you got MLS teams in Canada, MLS teams in the United States, and then you're going up against Mexico, that's still like, Mexico is still part of Central America, is still part of North America. So it is one continent. It is all one continent, right?
But we also have to include like Saprissa.
Well, I get what you're saying because you're taking teams from the Canadian Championship League. You're taking MLS teams. You're taking, Liga MX, and then also Central America. And you're building one like pretty much half a globe soccer tournament, which I get. That's an intercontinental championship. It's just to me, that would be like the one that River Plate. What is it? It starts with an L.
Copa Libertadores.
Yes, it's something. It's like that, but CONCACAF has way more weight than that.
Well, CONCACAF is also CONCACAF. I mean, come on now. CONCACAF is like thank you, Manuel. This one.
Yeah.
Libertadores.
So I just think instead of giving LA, who hasn't been I shouldn't say consistent because they have been consistent in winning MLS Cup 22, appearing in the final in 23. Did they get bounced by Miami? I think they did get bounced by Miami in CCC this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Miami got bounced by us in Leagues Cup.
Yeah. They got bounced by us in the MLS Cup. Miami really isn't doing anything special. Like, this is just a whole experiment in Miami. This is nothing worth getting a spot over, right? I just feel like Columbus has had more of an impressive resume to at least get even a look in our direction for a small talking about it than just, hey, let's take LAFC and Club America, and now we have 2 of the 3 MLS teams that are just bolstered by either A, money, or B, hype. Whereas Columbus, on both hands, don't have any of that. I'm not saying we're not hype. I'm just saying we don't have like a Hugo Lloris in net, or we don't have, prime Barcelona on our team, right? But we have.
Are we sure not pre-courts on that board?
You and your cuss words, sir.
I mean, because what it comes down to is they look at Columbus as a small market.
And that's fine, but we've seen what a small market can do over the last 2 years.
We've seen it. I know they've seen it, but at the same time, they don't feel they feel like they can't make money here, right? Which I disagree because you bring something like
100%.
FIFA to fucking Columbus, pardon the language, but you bring something like FIFA to Columbus, and I guarantee this whole city will shut down for FIFA because you're talking about you're bringing in clubs from England, Spain, Germany, Argentina, Mexico. You're bringing in some of those type teams that you only watch on Peacock and Paramount Plus. I guarantee you the city would shut down because there'll be so many stars floating around downtown.
Oh, yeah.
And businesses will boom. The league will, of course they get a big cut off of if a game was hosted here in Columbus, at the stadium. Or even if Columbus was playing in it and was hosting the game at the same time, the league would make so much money off of FIFA. And what did I hear? It was like 50 million.
The playoff?
If we would have won the Champions Cup, we would have got 50 million just to go participate in Club World Cup.
Oh, I don't know about that.
That's what it was.
I think you're right, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it was some crazy number. Yeah.
Teams that get, qualify for the Club World Cup were getting 50 million to participate in the tournament.
Off topic really quick. Ty Baribo is getting checked for a head injury.
Oof.
Continue.
We'll get to that here in a minute. But I think it was every team that qualified for the Club World Cup was getting $50 million.
And they had that cool looking trophy that spun and then it all snaps into place. It was like when Thor was trying to repower up and he ended up with the axe in Infinity War. And in that planet he had to go on or whatever that thing was, like the star power thing.
The supernova, yeah.
Thing. Yeah. I saw that and I was like, this is the coolest looking trophy I've ever seen. And then I realized that we're not going to ever get a chance to play for it. And I said, screw that trophy.
We will. I have faith that someday we will.
I like that positivity.
25. When would the next one be? What, 20?
It's every 4 years?
I think it's every 4, yeah.
2029.
2029. I mean, but I just feel like we would have so much to offer if we were to even get a look at in this one, right?
I do also have a gripe too. How the hell did TQL get selected to host some of the damn games? How the hell did they? What the hell did they give them? Some brand new chili recipe?
Because it looks like more of a European stadium than ours.
Yeah,
it's something.
It looks like a toilet bowl.
Yeah, when Cottonelle was advertising on the side or whoever, what's their face's own, whatever toilet paper brand that is, Scott's 1000.
I don't know. It's when I read. By the way, this one playoff match, this one-off match, whoever wins gets 10 million to the ownership group.
I want to know if our ownership group. I know we just had the draft and everything, so Haslam's been a little bit distracted probably by that, but he's got to be just hot under the collar about the fact that we're getting hosed out of this. Because you want to tell me that an owner who owns an NFL team, they understand the value of $1 and these millions of dollars that you can get from these types of things. I'm sure you would imagine that they would be irate about this and be like, whoa, I demand some answers here. what is going on? He's one of the most wealthiest owners in the whole league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I would be mad too because I'm still paying fucking Deshaun Watson. You know, now I gotta pay Shador Sanders
and Dylan Gabriel.
Yep.
I think he'll get traded before the season starts. They'll use him as a trade package because they also got Joe Flacco. They also got Kenny Pitt.
Pickett will be the one getting cut, if anyone, I would think.
Small hands Pickett.
Probably, yeah.
But I can't say he's got a damn Super Bowl ring with Philly. So he left Pittsburgh, went to Philly, and now he's with Cleveland. So I mean, but they spent all that money HSG has. So I mean, I'd be upset too losing out on a chance for $10 million.
Yeah.
It will go to, it'll go for the crew, but then they find some way to siphon it up to the NFL.
10 million, that's a few more home games up in Cleveland. I'll take care of that.
Hey, now watch it.
Hopefully, no
my
more.
Window got broken coming back from Cleveland.
From what?
Apparently
a rock.
Oh, off a semi or something?
Something hit it because it spidered.
Oh.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't know. This this whole thing with the Club World Cup really just irked me.
Garber does not like Columbus.
No, that's true.
And he got a contract extension till 2030.
Does he really?
Yeah.
I remember at one point there was like the hot rumor. I mean, this was years ago now, but that he was gonna really wanted to beef up MLS so that way if Goodell retired, he could be like a potential replacement for him in the NFL. I thought, oh man, imagine how bad that would be. It would be so bad. Just stay away.
I'd be done with the NFL.
Oh yeah, 100%. By the way, Philly won, Indy 11 won, 65th minute.
Ooh, Indy 11, nice.
Indy 11, yeah.
Baribo still.
He is still playing. He looks to be A-okay.
I'd still take him out as a precaution.
Hey, that's fine because then he won't be able to play against us over the weekend. So I mean, shoot.
Hey.
So we are back in action this Wednesday, or not Wednesday. Jesus Christ, today's Wednesday. Holy shit!
Next Saturday we have a Wednesday game though.
Yeah, remember that, Jerald. Next week is Wednesday, not tonight. We have Philly on Saturday. Another top of the East showdown. I think it is. I mean, what? Philly's second. Like, why are we getting all these Battle of the East showdowns? Like, what is happening right now?
If we can get through this stretch with plug and play and some of our places that we've talked about, like some of these players, though, I mean, it makes you feel really good if we can come out of it relatively unscathed into the summer and beyond. I mean, I normally hate this type of thing, but I'd rather have it now than later in the season for sure.
Yeah.
It's crazy the schedule that we have. We have Union, who's in second place right now. FC Cincinnati, who I think is in third place. Charlotte again, who's in fifth place right now. Then we have Nashville, who I think is like 6th or 7th.
6.
And then we have Inter Miami, who's 4th. That ends the month of May.
Crazy. It's crazy.
But I mean, it's away to Inter Miami on the 31st. It's home to Nashville, away to Charlotte, home to Cincy, away to Montreal, who's 15th in the East, and
easy dubs.
Away to Philly, right? So I mean, it's one of those where this will set the tone with how the rest of the year is going to go. You know, who's a pretender and who's a contender.
Philly come into this match 10 points out of their last 5. 3-6-7, outscoring their opponents 8-2. They are currently on a 3-game win streak. 3-0 win over Atlanta, 3-0 win over DC, a 2-1 win over Montreal. But we've seen in the past that we do have trouble playing in Philadelphia, but we did get a win, however, last year in Philadelphia, so that was fun.
On a heavily rotated squad.
Oh, yeah.
Heavily rotated squad. So I guess the biggest one is, you know, their top threats: Ty Baribo, Kai Wagner, Andre Blake, who I think Kai Wagner and Ty Baribo entered middle second half of the Open Cup game just a few minutes ago. Andre Blake isn't playing, so he's going to be fresh. How do we think Columbus can break defensively? I would say, how can Columbus break Philly's press?
Well, it's not the diamond anymore.
True.
You know, so, and we've only played Carnell once. And that's when he was coaching St. Louis. So he had a different group of players. Mm-hmm. So, you know, he brings his system to Philly, which, I mean, both teams have only allowed 10 goals all season through 11 games so far. You know, Philly has scored 21. We've scored 18. So, I mean, it's, you know, the goals are there. The defense is there. So, I mean, it's honestly just, you know, continue attacking their press. Mm-hmm. You know, if it takes, you know, 17 passes and, you know, on the 17th one, it's going past Andre Blake, so be it. If it takes 3 passes, you know, so be it. It could take 42 passes, which that's absolutely insane if it takes 42 passes to score. But I think we had a bit, you know, a sequence last year or in 2023 where it was like 20 some passes, and then, you know, then we scored on it, right? So I mean, that's all that it takes is to attack that press, be methodical, be keen, and have awareness of who's around you when you have the ball. Have your head up and looking around to see where you could go.
Yeah, I think just with the players that we have and what we've been doing recently in form, I think it's, you know, to your point, Jerald, about like passes, I think if you can stretch the field back and forth, side to side, like really start to pull them, like they're going to be pressing, of course, but like pulling them, trying to get that one person or those 2 people out of position by doing that, where seeing if you can try to lure them into jumping on something and then getting past them and then off to the races, I think is where we'll probably have the most success. I think this is a perfect time when you have someone like AZ who you stick out there, whether he's coming off the bench or whether he's starting. And he, like you said, you know, a beautiful chaos. Like have him be the one guy who's out there roving around where they're like, okay, we're trying to press, but this guy is everywhere. We're going to have to start like pulling away, marking him a little bit more because we don't know what he's really going to do out there. And when you start to do that, kind of disrupt them a little bit more because he's obviously comfortable in our system. So he's going to know what he's doing regardless. And for them to, you know, stay really firm in what they're doing, I think will help, you know, kind of pull them out of position a little bit.
I made a poll. I don't know if you guys saw it on our Twitter page. Before I bring up the results so far, what do you guys think is the biggest key to a win at Subaru Park?
Ty, you're gonna hate me for what I'm gonna say. Stick to the game plan.
Of course.
Stick to playing how you always been. Honestly, like I said, just the key to it is attacking the press. Spread it out, attack it, be methodical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we know Philly's going to be aggressive. Especially playing an Open Cup game on a Wednesday and then have to play the top team in the East on Saturday. They're going to be tired. So they're going to want to come out on the front foot and be aggressive right at the whistle. You can use that to your advantage and let them tire themselves out by spreading the field and then take your chances.
And I'm sure it's not lost on the other coaches that their percentage chance of winning against non-C, this obviously isn't always the case, but I think teams find more success if they score first against us. And so I think you're going to see more aggressiveness in nature from them, but also because they know that the chances increase for them statistically if they score first against us. Now, I don't think that that's a detriment to our team if somebody does score first necessarily, but them coming out and trying to score quick against us, I think is what they're going to try to do. And so just anticipating that, and again, like Jerald said, stretching the field, sticking to our game plan as much as that's not a fun answer to say necessarily. I think overall that is really what they need to do and let Philly run around and make mistakes and things like that.
As for the poll, right? The biggest one that people are saying is that we need to start strong and score early.
Mm-hmm. Pretty even across the stretch the field, which I voted for, is getting its butt hit.
It's absolutely getting obliterated right now.
All right, fair enough.
But if just on the off chance, right? If I were to match notes, yeah. If I were to pull up the match notes from this recent game, Charlotte. Actually, let's pull up the match notes for this game. Where'd it go? Here it is. So, and this is really cool that I have this as I come back over here and get the overlay off. The Crew score by minute. Here it is. So, Crew MLS goal by interval. How early are we talking, first of all? Right? Would you say within the first, 15 minutes?
You mean I'd say we do a pretty good job of that.
Oh, we've scored twice.
Wow. It feels... Now, is the next half between 15 to 20 and 45, what does that look like?
So, it goes 15-minute intervals, right?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So,
okay.
0 to 15, 16 to 30, 31 to 45, 46 to 60, 61 75, 76 to 90. We scored the most goals between 16 and 30.
Okay. I knew it was I was going to say, because it feels like we score early. Obviously not as early as I guessed, but it feels like we get into our rhythm very quickly in games most of the time. We've definitely seen some where you could tell pretty quickly that we're not, and we need to make adjustments and get people in there who maybe are a little more ready for it, whatever that looks like. But
yeah,
overall, that does align in general with I think what most people would agree with when you think about just if you had to guess on when they score.
Now, what I will say is defensively we've been pretty sound because we have not allowed a goal between minutes 76 and 90.
Wow.
In MLS play, that is.
Oh, that's awesome.
Let me be clear about that. First of all,
right.
Between 76 and 90, we have not allowed a goal. But if we're talking start strong and score early, I would go out on a limb and say that we would probably score the first goal between the 16th and 30th minute.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me, right? However, when we score first, when the Columbus Crew score first, we are 4-0-1. However, when we allow the first goal, we are 3-1-0, which is fine.
Yeah, we'll take
Cool
that.
beans. Midfield battle. I don't really know what the midfield looks like for Philadelphia.
Me neither.
What? Okay.
I would take ours versus most teams with going head to head. I will say that.
Yeah. However, I would have voted with you, Derek. Stretch the field wide.
Yeah.
Because we like to play left to right. we like going side to side, and whatnot. We like being able to stretch the back line and kind of break them down, make them come to us. That way, Jason or Daniel or Diego can kind of take that open space, and then next thing you know, we're in on goal. But Philadelphia, who's a very strong side, as we all know, has, as Jerald said, only allowed 10 goals. They have a 4-1-1 home record. They've scored the most goals, it looks like, in the Eastern Conference, and they sit second. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that, one, if we start strong and score early, we might have a chance. However, Ty Baribo is very good. Right? So now we're talking, okay, how can we contain one guy? Maybe not letting him get as many chances, or maybe not letting him get even a sniff to goal. But it's Philly. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
And we don't have a very good history against Philadelphia from my understanding.
No, I feel like it's either we play disappointingly, and the score feels relatively lopsided, or I just remember in years past, sometimes we go into Philly and we play at Philly, and it can be the most boring game ever. Like, it just feels like it is a never-ending game where it's like 0-0, 1-1, and it's just a lot of passing around, but like no real chances by either team.
Now, may I get very more technical really quick?
Yeah.
We went in against Philadelphia specifically. We have scored the most goals in the 76th to 90th minute.
Wow.
Philly has scored the most between 46 and 60.
Wow. Okay.
So we've scored 43 goals against them. They've scored 47 against us. As of there's been so many matches from like 2010 to 24 to even determine our record. So I'm just not even going to do that right now. But we have scored 3 goals between the first and 15th minute. So I guess maybe if that's that start strong, score early, maybe that can give us a little bit of an insight on scoring early and kind of dictating the game from there.
Put them on the back foot right off the bat.
Yep.
I think that works a lot too in pressing teams typically, especially if like if you are us in form playing against a pressing team, if you can score early and get them a little out of whack or in their heads a little bit, they're going to be even more aggressive typically, no matter how disciplined they are. They're going to get a little more, it's going to start to seep into their heads a little bit the longer it goes on. If they haven't scored yet, they're going to start getting out of discipline a little bit and start, playing a little out of position, different things like that. Whereas I feel like, you usually, knock on wood here, you don't see us break down tactically as we've kind of talked about with like goal scoring and stuff now later in games. So I feel good about where we stand later in games, regardless of what the other team's doing. So I think if you can get them even further, like if they're at their top level, if you can start to get them down on quality standpoint because they are trying to overcompensate because they need to score a goal or something like that, you really stand a chance to win. It's also really interesting to hear some of these stats just because like the way you think or you remember some of the recent games versus what these stats actually show, you're like, wow, okay. Like I had no idea some of these things. Like it's not what I remember happening, but
oh yeah. Philly scored, but it was ruled out for offside.
oh, love it.
So now Indy 11 is on the attack, but now the ball's gone out for a throw. It's in the 83rd minute, by the way.
Ooh,
so
okay.
we could see extra time. Possibility of penalties if the score remains the same, but that's that. Prediction time. I'll beat Jerald.
Okay.
4-0.
You know what? He texted me, and I was at a 3-year-old's birthday party, and so I didn't go to the game. I just put it on the TV at our friend's house that we were at. Yeah. And when I got home, I had a text from him, and it's pretty late, so I didn't respond. But he, I think he said like 4-1 or 4-0 or something like that, and he was like, wasn't really that far off. And I immediately was thinking,
he
like,
wasn't, yeah.
You know what? You've probably been closer to accurate than the rest of us in these games so far.
He really has.
He was really, really close. So we should at some point, maybe it's like mid-season or whatever, like start keeping track of them. Because I bet that like while we think these are crazy predictions at times, he's actually not
actually
far
almost
off. Like
spot on. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy.
like really, really close. I was, you know what? I remember last week, all I was saying was, and I think maybe even the week before that, it was going to be a tie. And I, like today, when I was thinking about it a little bit, I was like, you know what? I think the way we've been playing, especially after the last game where you had a last minute person come in to start, where the starting lineup, or we really haven't solidified what that's going to look like, whether it be via injury or we're changing it up because of tactical things. I feel like we are really playing really, really well for rotating people as much as we are. And typically, I don't feel like that's been the case. I don't think it's the case for most teams, but I think it does show the depth of our team, even if on paper, starting the season, we didn't really think that maybe that was going to be the case. But that leads me to be a little more positive about like my thoughts about each game. And so while I know going into Philadelphia, it is like a house of horrors at times, and it could be a game where we win by 1 goal. It could be the most boring game and we tie 0-0, 1-1, or they may beat us 4-1. Who knows? But I'm going to say like 2-1 us. And the only reason I'm actually going to give them 1, albeit they do have good players on their team and good strikers, is that I feel like there have been times in the past few weeks, and this is obviously like clearly nitpicking at very good play, but there have been a few times where Schulte has been a little bit out of position on certain goals that he's allowed to come in, where I think last year or the year before, he would have been a little more crisp on them. And that's not to say I think he's losing any steps or anything. I think it's just that's by nature of being a goalie. I think that it'll be 2-1 because, you know, there'll be some shenanigan occurrence that'll warrant them getting a goal out of it all. But overall, I would love for us to score 4 goals. Don't get me wrong. I'm not quite there yet on predictions where I think we're going to score a lot of goals, but I'm still confident in a 2-1 for sure.
I mean, when you said 4-1, that brought up the most horrible memory ever.
That was Nancy's first year, right?
Not the first game. First game.
Yeah.
Aloy Room got suspended by the team because of whatever it was. Patrick Schulte got thrown into the Wolves.
And we came out, and I thought we looked pretty decent. And then it was like, as the game was going on, it became just an absolute avalanche on us at that point.
Yeah,
we weren't ready for it.
Yeah, it was stupid penalty calls. Like it was stupid. Like the arms tucked in and it hits the hand. They're saying like it was stupid penalty calls.
That's my least favorite of the handball calls is when they have to go to like, is his arm in an unnatural position when they're down by the side and like stuff like that. That drives me crazy.
And you'll never believe who it was who got 2 goals in that game, both off of the penalty kicks. Just take a wild guess.
Gazdag.
Yes. Yes. It was just like, why?
No, he's ours. Actually, is there so I feel like this is a thing that is an unwritten thing in MLS. I could be totally wrong. Maybe it's a different sport, but that
like an unwritten rule.
Yeah, that like if you get a player, maybe I'm thinking of a totally different sport, but if you get a player from another team, that sometimes they cannot play against their former team that season. Does that seem crazy? Am I making that up? Or has it just been like a random occurrence? Because I feel like that's happened a few times.
So, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think I know it's in Europe.
Okay.
Right. So, for example, if we'll use the crappy Manchester United, for example, right? So, if Manchester United, we'll use Anthony, for example, right? Anthony is on loan to Real Betis. So, if Manchester United, if Anthony started playing in the Champions League with Manchester United, then gets loaned to Betis, he cannot play against Manchester United in the Champions League.
Okay.
Because it's his parent club, right? I think Jerald can attest to this. I think there's also some sort of stipulation in MLS Next Pro to where if I can't remember what it is, but I think it's something like if you go from one team to another or something, you can't play against like your team or whatever. I know what you're talking about, but I think I can't remember exactly what it is. And I know the same thing can happen in like the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup in England, where if you start the tournament with your team and then get transferred or loaned to another team that is in like the Premier League or something like that, you cannot play that cup game against your parent club. So it's some weird thing that it's
So Gazdag could play if he was fit and deemed able to play. He could play this game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 100%. Now, if he scores and he celebrates,
that's where I was going. This is where I was going with. Long way to circle back around to. This is what I was thinking about in my head before I got to it. Him getting his first goal for us, if he does play this game, I think will be this game.
That's a hot take. Ooh, we're full of hot takes over here. Jerald, I pretended to be you and gave your prediction.
We were giving you a bunch of kudos about how when you text me and how close you are to these scores.
But
what'd you give me?
No. I'm not.
Oh yeah, let's have you say it, and we'll see if it was close.
Yeah.
Because
I promise you, if it's spot on, I'm ending this live. I'm walking out. You guys can end the show together. So, Derik went 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't given mine yet. Okay, Jerald, I want to know if he says it, Derik. I'm walking out. What is your prediction for this game?
3-1.
Oh,
damn.
Close.
I think they do. Philly does get a goal. I mean, I could be wrong. It could be 3-0. But I really think Columbus continues scoring goals. I do think Gazdag does get his first goal with Columbus. I think Diego continues, gets one, and I'm going to say it. Mo Farsi gets a goal
Oh,
against
please.
Philly. Between Mo, Jason, and AZ, I think one of those three will get a goal.
You want to talk about outrageous scoring? My word.
That would be. I see two of those being PKs. If he gets a hat trick, I see two of them being PKs. Because I think Diego would, give up the PK spot for him. Coming up against his old club.
Yeah, for sure.
I would love for him to do what he did to us in 2023.
Yeah, we literally talked about that.
Just talk about that. Yeah. Just
bullshit.
We were just talking about that too. No, I said you were going to say 4-0.
I mean, that's being hot for me. Now against Philly, I won't go 4-0. I want to know who does this account.
Oh no, man, but this is great. Really quick, guys. Should I follow Sicko Tit Cow back on Twitter?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
You know what? Hey, we're gonna pop it open right now. Hang on, let me.
Whoever's behind this profile, Sicko Tit Cow. Whoever you are,
Sicko.
Keep it up, man. You're
All right, so I have it right here.
Hit follow. Following. Yes.
I'm gonna go kind of a basic 1-1 draw.
Oh, okay.
Boring
game. You're rooting for boring game. I see how it is.
I'm rooting for a very tactical great match between two great coaches where we end up getting put with our backs against the wall to where we have to dig out an equalizer.
So you're looking for a personality game.
Yeah. Yep. And then
have a few. It's always good to have in a season.
Yeah. It keeps us on our toes. It's
and we're running into a hard stretch, so it's not the worst thing in the world if you're one of the first ones in this big stretch that you have like that. I can definitely see the thought behind that for sure.
Well, yeah, because I mean we have to go all out in next week, right? We have to go all out next week. By the way, really quick before we sign off here, what do we think about a watch party live for next Wednesday?
Ooh,
let's run it.
That'd be fun.
We'll talk more. This has been the Wisemen Say podcast. I was about to say powered by Yama Media. Jesus Christ, we're not powered by Yama Media. Wisemen Say podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media on Instagram at the Wisemen Say podcast, here on YouTube at the Wisemen Say podcast, on Twitter at Wiseman Pod. You guys can follow Derik on social media
at Funky Moses 17.
You guys can follow Jerald on social media
at Jerald _Lucas 96.
You guys can follow me on social media at Fisher Tyler __. If you are watching here on YouTube, here on the live, thank you guys for commenting. Be sure to hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell for post notifications. If you are listening audio on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, Pocket Cast, Overcast, thank you guys for listening. Towards the end of the show, be sure to leave a review, like the show. If you are on Spotify specifically, make sure to interact with the poll that will be coming out on the show. Give us your score prediction. Give us your result prediction, whether it's a draw, union win, or a crew win. And also thank you guys for listening to the fourth best Columbus Crew podcast. Thank you, Million Podcasts, for giving us that recognition. And Jerald, my friend, as tradition goes, Wisemen Say.
Only fools rush in.
Peace out, everybody. Have a good week. Stay safe, stay hydrated, stay cool. Hug your loved ones. Go Crew.
Stay wise, y'all.